Oh, my name's Michael Ortel. Just a local boy that got sucked into, the car thing at a very young age. It's my hobby. It's my joy in life. It's out here in this sanctuary. It's my peace, my zen. It's I live to do this stuff.
Michael Ortel is a Tip City, Ohio resident who is not only a car enthusiast, but also an avid drag racer. Him, his late father Tom, and brother Andy have restored, modified, and currently race a 1963 Plymouth Savoy. Mike gives us some history and insight on what was going on in the race world during the 60s.
Early 60s, it was the birth of kind of the factory wars. Early 60s saw kind of the factories really starting to take notice of what each other were doing. Drag racing was really starting to become a big thing. Specifically, classes that we called super stock, okay? And these were cars that people could go in, buy right off the showroom floor, and take it to the drag strip and go compete with each other. And so in 1962, your heavy hitters, Ford, GM, Chrysler, they all started kind of trying to one up each other. So, 62, you saw the Fords and the Chevrolets and the Mopars really starting to wreak some havoc. That was also the first year that you heard the term max wedge. So Chrysler comes out trying to keep up with Ford, the 409 Chevys, the 421 Pontiacs, the 406 Fords, and all that jazz. Chrysler introduces the 413 Max Wedge. And that was kind of the birthplace for Mopar, really trying to be competitive and build these killer motors. And so that was in 62, your 413 and your 62 Plymouths and Dodges with the big cross ram intake manifold, Max Wedge heads. The cross ram is what everyone knows when they see it. It's this big honking, holds two Carter AFBs sideways, and it's very unique shape. Everyone knows it when they see it. So that's the first motor they stuck that on, and it was really competitive. It was. And then moving on past 62, 1963, they kind of upped it even again with a couple of little minor tweaks and changes, and they actually redesigned the car completely. So 63 was a really good year.
Plymouth's on the move. Plymouth's on the move. Wow! Plymouth's on the move. Plymouth's on the move now. Plymouth 63. What a Plymouth this is gonna be. Wow! Get a load of the advertising that you're gonna see now.
The term Savoy, so what that is, it's a trim package that Chrysler used for their entry-level vehicles. And the term Savoy actually goes back all the way into the 50s, but it really started to come, popular in the 60s because that was the cars that, your big-time racers and would get these high performance versions of, because they were totally stripped down. They had nothing, no heaters, just less parking lights and everything. It was pretty crazy. They would just stuff the giant motors in these cars, and they were just built for that. So no one cared about any of the bells and whistles. Take the car, big motor, and go out. And I'm not saying all the cars are like that. They use all the trim packages for, you could get the high performance packages with. The Savoy was the cheap one. Then the next level up was your Belvedere, had some trim on it, some bells and whistles, and then you had your Furies. But the majority of the really crazy factory back teams, they were the cheap low buck cars, and just with high horsepower applications. My car is a 63 Plymouth Savoy, and it was born a highway patrol car for the state of Michigan. I found the car through one of our family friends. It was one of my dad's best friends. We love him love him to death. But his name's Tony DePello, and he was friends with a local Ohio superstock legend. His name was Akron Arlen Vanke, and big name in the '60s. Always drove Mopars for 99% of his career. And his first car his first Chrysler that he raced was a 1963 Plymouth. And he was and later in life, he wanted to recreate that car. So he bought this shell of a 63 Plymouth, and he was like, nah, this car's a little too rough. And our friend Tony knew that we were looking for a body. This was 2001. And he gave us a heads up, like, hey, I think I know where a body's sitting if you guys want to go check it out. So me, my dad, and my brother, we loaded up in the truck with a trailer, and we drove up all the way through Michigan, met Arlen, saw the car, and came back with it, for a cool $500 back then in 2001, and drug it all the way home. So the car, like I said, when I got it, it was just a shell of a car, and it was rough. So it was pretty gnarly looking when we first drug it home. So I mean, we touched everything on the car. We had to put floors in it all the way around, many body panels. It actually has everything on the front of the car is different because it's fiberglass to save weight. So we touched everything on the car. It's when you see it as we brought it home, it was wow. So right now, since it's been done for the last 5 or 6 years, in the summertime, we take it out and we compete in like nostalgia type drag racing. It kind of recreates the flair of the '60s, and so we take it out, we drag race, we index race with it, and have just a blast with it. I love doing it. There's a couple different nostalgia super stock circuits that we follow. There's all Chrysler races that we do, a couple of those a year. So I mean, we don't go too crazy far, but just enough to fill up some of the weekends, go out and have some fun. That's honestly why we built the car, just to make memories. And I cherish my memories that I have with my father, who we lost a couple years ago, and my brother, and my mom and sister coming out to support us. Like it's an absolute blast. I won my first race in 2015 at Killcare. It was a super stock combo race, and that was a thrill. Just to battle through, fields of 25, 30 cars and get down to the winner is just it's a feeling that I can't quite describe. But that first year we got it done. I remember there's one race that sticks out in my mind. It was, we were kind of new at this, not knowing what we're doing, but we're up in Norwalk. It's like a 3 or 4 day event that our good friend Josh King puts on at the time. It was called Monster Mopar Weekend. And it rained for 2 days straight. And to save money, because we're a budget operation, we took up a tent. And I remember sleeping in a tent with it pouring down rain for 2 days. And finally on that third day, it cleared up. We were able to race. And I'd only had the car out a couple times, but it was such a big race. There's 800, 900 cars. And I remember getting called up to the staging lanes Sunday, 11:30 p.m. It was like, I think we made it down to the quarterfinals that night, and we're just dog tired, slept in the rain for 2 days. And just that feeling of like getting down towards the end, there's only 4 cars remaining, and we all got to be work the next morning at 7 o'clock, and we're 3 hours away from home. But just that, I don't know, looking back on it, those memories are what I cherish. Even after I lost, it's like, man, we're doing this. We did it. A grueling weekend, but those memories I just cherish. But as it sits right now, I love it. It's everything that I wanted. I set out to build a 10.0 nostalgia car. We did it, and it runs great. The motor is fantastic. The guy that builds our motors, Tony DePello, he builds awesome bullets that has never let me down. So, I mean, we're having a great time. If it's not broke, don't fix it, sort of thing. So just continue to have some fun with it.